Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of our Communities for Music Technology with the Georgia Department of Education discussion. This month is microphone usage and how we can make the most out of our microphones and really use them. In the last episode, we talked about how to pick the right microphone to do what you're going to do. Today, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty discussion of polar patterns and what that means for your microphone. So, remember our 3 key usage points. Number 1, choose the right microphone. We kind of did that last time. This time, face it in the right direction and how to plug it into a preamp. So these are really important concepts that we need to make sure we hammer out. Now, we talked about 2 basic types of microphones, the dynamic microphone and the condenser microphone. The dynamic microphone, its diaphragm is contacted on axis by going straight in the front. We call this a front address microphone. So to hold it properly, I would need to hold it this way. This would be the proper holding technique, not this way. The ice cream cone thing really drives me nuts. I hope it drives you guys nuts too, because you're losing a lot of the quality of the sound as it travels across the diaphragm and not straight into the diaphragm. So if you see someone holding their microphone like this, you might want to gently remind them that they can turn it and point it out, and it would be generally more comfortable and to a lot better sound. So these are front address microphones going straight on the front. Whereas this guy, the condenser microphone, is most often a side address microphone. Wherever the company logo is at is generally the side that you want to address. So you're actually going to talk into the microphone this way for the best sound and not this way. This way would be across the diaphragm or off axis, and this way would be on. If you don't know, try to get your microphone up to some kind of source, light source, where you can have light coming in from behind and in front, and actually see where that diaphragm is. You can kind of see the circle is right here. That is not turned flat. It's turned straight to the side, and that's the side that you are going to address the microphone from. Those are really important skills to make sure you research before you dive into setting up your microphone for the first time. So, keeping with the face it in the right direction point, we have different polar patterns. And what this means is that certain microphones pick up in different ways, meaning they won't pick up in all directions evenly. Now, there is one microphone that will pick up in all directions evenly, and that one is called the omnidirectional microphone. It captures sound equally well from all directions. Generally, you wouldn't want to use omnidirectional for use in live performance, and here's why. In this particular scenario, the live microphone would be capturing audience noise and stage noise, and that's generally just not the best thing. So I wouldn't say it's good for live, but one big plus for the omnidirectional microphone is that the omnidirectional microphone does not have a proximity effect when you begin to use it. So just something to remember for the future. This is the most popular one, the cardioid microphone. This is so named because of its heart-shaped pattern. In this case, if I'm to hold this microphone up like this and talk into the front, it's most sensitive straight on. At this angle, it begins to lose. At this angle, it loses a lot. And at this angle, talking into it completely wrong, it actually basically negates the sound altogether. Now, does it completely go away? No, because your voice spreads out around the room and bounces off other things and comes back and hits the front of the microphone. But in general, if I'm on stage using this, it is negating the audience and only working to pick up my voice. So that's one really useful thing to be able to know, is that like this negates from the back. So it's a heart-shaped pattern and extremely useful, like I said, for live performance, especially with monitors, because if you put a monitor right in front of the singer, as the sound comes back, it's actually going to the negative side of the microphone, and you're not having as much feedback issue on the cardioid style microphone. Very, very popular. Also means that you need to keep in mind what's behind the singer in a studio room, because the reflections coming off the wall behind them are the ones that are going to be most likely to make it into the microphone. The hypercardioid microphone. So whereas the cardioid has about a 130 degree usable angle, this one's going to narrow up to somewhere between 100 and 110. So it's a little more directly focused, probably not good for two people to talk into at the same time. But the giveaway is that you get a little bit of a hot spot right in the back of the microphone. So now there is a place dead into the back of the microphone that is actually kind of sensitive. So something to consider as you begin to place the noise, that it's going, if there are noisy things happening into the back of the microphone, it's going to pick that up. So in a studio room, how do you place the microphone and what do you put behind it to make sure that you're negating the effects that are coming into the back? The bidirectional microphone. This one accepts sound equally well from the front or the back, but not the sides. So anything that's going in expressly to the sides is basically going to be negated, and anything going into the front and the back. You could use this to have two singers sing on either side of the microphone. Would be a nice duet. This mic type is really common in ribbon mics, if you have a ribbon mic, and one side's generally slightly darker than the other side of the microphone just because of the way it's designed. But you'll see these all over the place. Really generally quite good for brass instruments and live acoustic instruments. I love recording saxophone with a ribbon bidirectional mic. You just have to figure out what's behind it and see if it's useful. If you've got a good studio room, you're going to be pretty golden using this thing. So that's the bidirectional. And then the ever popular in the video industry is the shotgun microphone. So the shotgun microphone is really cool because it's super narrow in its acceptance range. Some of them accept down to only 15 degrees. So you're talking about a very specific spot that microphone has to be pointed at to be able to be used accurately. You'll see these on the sidelines of NFL football games. That's how you get that microphone that gets that real good helmet crunch as things begin to crack together. So it's a really good microphone for that. On a film shoot where a movie's being filmed, or you're doing a documentary or something, they're really good because you can change the angle that it points at the person to negate the sounds that are coming from behind them or around them. For instance, if the person I was interviewing was right in front of me and behind them was a noisy car factory, and I used the shotgun mic or a mic pointed straight at them from the camera, then it would pick up them and the noisy car factory behind them. However, if I took that mic and put it on a boom arm and kind of held it over them and pointed it down at them, I would now get their sound and the sound that was bouncing off the concrete behind them. So I would get that negated factory sound that was behind them. Or I could come in from the side or from below and be able to lose that factory sound. So that's one reason the shotgun mics are often held on booms out over the people that are being involved in a movie. So it's really important to pick the right microphone here for the right purpose. And then you need to plug it into preamps. There are all sorts of different preamps out there, but the main job of the preamp is to take this minute electrical fluctuation and expand it, magnify it such that we can get a good accurate measurement of where it dips and peaks at. So we want to have these really nice preamps to boost the signal to a usable level so that we can convert our analog audio into good, clean, accurate digital audio. So you'll see the preamps are actually this area and this area controlled with gain knobs here on this particular model. Mixing boards often have preamps, anywhere from 4 to 72 of them, depending on how powerful the mixing board is. The preamps will then be matched with channel strips to provide effects to the signal. And mixing boards also combine all those signals down into two basic channels, a left and a right channel. Cables that you might need. Most microphones are going to use these, the XLR cable. It was originally produced by the Canon Camera Company, and it stands for X Series Latch Rubber Cable. So the way it was designed was part of their X Series. It does have a latch, so it clicks into the microphone, and it's a rubber insulator in the middle of this. It is a 3-pin connection. You can see here that we have 1 pin, 2 pin, and 3 pins. On the female end of the cable, we have those same 3 pins. That provides us a balanced audio signal, which reduces unwanted audio interference and is generally good for about 200 feet. Then you often have this, the TR cable. This is really never used for microphones, but this is more used for guitar cables and other instrument cables. It is a 2-pin connector. You can see we have a pin here at the top. It has a separating piece of insulation, and then we have a pin that is the ring of the main plug. So that is a 2-pin connector, even though you only see 1 pin. The hot pin here at the end, and that we call that the tip, and then the ring pin here. So because it's 2 pins, it's an unbalanced cable, which is highly susceptible to audio interference from things like radio towers and things like fluorescent lighting and all that kind of stuff, and should really never be used in links more than about 20 feet, because then it becomes an AM radio antenna really fast. So just be careful that you don't use those too long. Finally, there is the tip ring sleeve or shield cable. I've heard it called the tip ring shank, tip ring sleeve, tip ring shield. All those things work with TRS. They're used primarily for stereo signal transfer. This is, again, a 3-pin connector because we have the tip as a pin separated by insulation, the ring as a pin separated by insulation, and the shield or the grounding of the cable is actually the back part of the pin. So this is good for about 100 feet with no signal loss and less susceptible to audio interference. You can actually have an XLR cable that goes to TRS on the other end, because that is 3 pins to 3 pins, and that does work. So good things that you need to know if you are miking different things to different sources, what cables are transferable and which ones are not. I hope you have found this helpful. Good bits of information to know. I hope it helps you set up your studio better, helps your students. Come on back for part 3, and we'll have tips on setting up microphones for different events and sources. Thank you for watching. See you soon.